Hi, I'm Mitch Thomas. Thanks for tuning in. In this section, the home team is going to be talking about mold. Let's hear what they have to say.
Mold is a big concern, particularly for home buyers when they walk into a house and maybe they smell a musty smell and they think, well, I wonder if that's mold. We did have a woman not too long ago who looked at me and said, there better not be any mold in my house. And I smiled at her and I said, well, I'm sorry, you've got mold. Fact is, all of us have mold in our houses. Mold is everywhere. It's ubiquitous. It's outdoors and it's indoors. And when we test for mold, what we're looking for is to see that there are not this mold spores inside that are not common outside, and that the levels of mold on the interior are not elevated above the mold levels on the exterior. Now, mold needs some things to grow, and if you can kick out one of those three legs of the stool, you can pretty much take care of your mold.
The three things that mold needs to thrive is moisture, heat, and a food source. So if you take out one of those three things, the mold's going to end up becoming inactive.
The test that we do, swab test, looks a lot like a Q-tip, and then an air test will tell you the mold spore type and then the relative concentrations. They're easy to do. They're about 5 minutes. We overnight the samples to a lab, and the lab performs the analysis and then sends emails and reports, a very detailed report as far as what types of mold spores they are, what levels of concentration, and then the relative effect, the health effects on the individual. One of the questions that we get a lot is this black mold? Can you test for black mold? And black mold is really kind of a misnomer. There are several different spore types that could fit into that category, but the most common, the most prevalent, and usually the one that people are talking about, is called Stachybotrys. Stachybotrys was at the root of the big mold scare that began in Texas several years ago and kind of spread through the country. Fortunately, in Louisville, we don't see a lot of Stachybotrys. Every once in a while we'll see small levels of Stachybotrys, but it's not that prevalent. One of the main reasons that people do get mold tests is simply for peace of mind. And one of the parts of that, one of the aspects of that, is looking at the mold spore types. And if it comes back with no Stachybotrys, that doesn't mean all is well necessarily, but that's a good thing. Generally, the mold tests that we do end up giving peace of mind, because mold is usually a lot easier to take care of than people think. Oftentimes people will go into a house and they think if there's any mold, the house is doomed. It's not true at all. Most mold problems are fairly easily taken care of. I like to look at it sort of like a termite issue. Usually you can be able to remediate the mold items for $800 or less, usually. You know, sometimes you're going to get that crazy house that sat empty for 5 years and had a persistent leak, but usually it's not the case. It's removing a few items or cleaning up a few items and then cleaning up the HVAC ducts. So mold is nothing to be terrified of.